All right, okay, so today we are going to be doing the big three teardown and hopefully install. So what's really nice on the YFZ450 is they have these fasteners. You can just literally pop the plastics off. There's going to be a few of them, so we'll go ahead and show you. There's two up here on the gas tank as well. You just literally spin them like a quarter rotation. There's going to be two more down here as well. So I'll just pop it off the back plastics as well. There's four fasteners. Boom. Already got the other three on. We're gonna pop the suit. So once you get the four fasteners off, you're just gonna lift this part up from the centerpiece like that. And then you should be able to just pull the plastics right out. Just like that. So you're going to take your Allen key, remove the two screws, one on each side, and then there's going to be a 10 mil on the bottom of each side for these last side plastics. Go ahead and take that off, and then we'll get to the gas tank. So there's a couple rubber grommets on each side of the gas tank plastics. So you're gonna wanna pull, kind of hard just to pop them out. And as soon as you do that, you'll notice that the gas tank plastic will remove. And that will put us right in place of the gas tank itself. There's a 10 mil right there. You're gonna screw it off. And now we're able to disconnect the hoses. First, you're gonna disconnect the black one, give it a little pressure, pull up. You'll be able to get that one disconnected. The orange one, you'll pull up till it clicks, and then you pull that one off. So if the orange fuel line gives you any issue with trying to pull it off, it's because once you have it pulled up, you'll hear the click, and then you've got to pinch it properly. So if you've got a bigger set of hands like I do, it might not come off so well, but eventually you'll get it, or get somebody with some small hands to pinch it. The fuel line will come right off. And then you'll notice it does come with the cap built into the gas tank from factory. So you'll take that blue piece there, and you'll just cap it right on. Super smart to have that. All right, so step one, you want to take the bolt out that I'm pointing to right here. Step two, in the AIS delete, you're going to notice the hex head that I'm pointing to here. Let me focus in here so you can get a good look at it. I'm currently on the header side of the ATV. You're going to twist out that hex bolt. The biggest thing with the AIS delete is that everything is so tight, just hard to get easy access, so it is a little bit time consuming, but as you can see, I'm doing the best I can, twisting this out, and we're moving along. All right, so as we all know, for the AIS, this is the part where once we disconnect, you're either going to put a plug to make sure that nothing gets in here, or you're going to wrap it with like electrical tape. I did buy a plug for it. I believe that one was from Peak Racing. Once we open up some of the other stuff, we'll make sure. But this piece here, you gotta push down so you can get this hose off. This tube just connected in here. I pulled it back off just to get a little slack. But I'm gonna pinch this and then I'm gonna slide it down. There we go. So same thing on this side, we just gotta pinch this so we can move this off. So it does take a lot of force and pressure on your fingers. If you want, you can just grab a pair of pliers and just gently squeeze on that and then slide it down. And we're gonna take this off. All right, so we're almost done taking the emissions AIS stuff out of here. The plug right there, just a little hack, stick your flathead right between that and the plastic black piece there, squeeze, and it will pop right out easily. And now we're about to pull everything out. All right, so once you get those last pieces apart here that we just unclipped, right here, you'll be able to pull the whole piece of junk out. All right, so we got our 38 Motorsports stuff. I did get, you know, a couple extra goodies that we'll put on, but mainly what we're looking at this minute is the 38 Motorsports breather box. Came with the tubes, and we do have the AIS block-off kit here as well. I also purchased for like 15 bucks the cable holder for the 2013 YFC. So we will be using the 13 cable holder versus the AIS block-off kit. All right, so you can either tie this off with electrical tape or buy the 38 Motorsports plug here. And that will just go ahead and prevent, you know, any water or anything like that from getting in there. And it fits snug. We'll just figure out how we want to leave it. But all right, so you're gonna take your Allen wrench or your Allen key here. It's very tight, but you know, you have enough room to do like, you know, somewhat of a turn. And you're just gonna take your time loosening off the 2 bolts. Again, this is a bit time consuming just because of the limited amount of space. You can see me turning the bolt right there, and there's also the identical one to the left. All right, so this is the bolt holding the little bracket holder. So we're going to take this piece out first, then we'll take the second AIS bolt out there as well. I think I can just get this by hand now. All right, so we disconnected this. We move this down to disconnect this real quick so we can get this holder off finally. It is a little time consuming because A, I have big hands, and B, it's just so tight in there. So we got this piece off, on to the next. All right, so we're gonna be taking off this whole hose because we're adding the fuel customs intake. So this whole box will be coming out. We're gonna take off these bolts here. All right, so you just pop the air box lid off. Now we gotta work on trying to get this whole thing out of there. Right here, 10 mil. We're just gonna loosen this. Once we can get this unscrewed, this is going to be a super long bolt that goes all the way through. Everything's still tight. We're going to have to get the band off from underneath, which is going to be a little bit of a pit up, but we'll do that right now. All right, guys, so now we're at one of the least fun parts of getting this intake out. So basically, I've got an Allen head. I'm trying to get the bolt loosened that holds the band of the intake in place. So that band, the only way to loosen it is from underneath. As you can see, I've got the Allen head. I'm doing about a half a rotation out of whack. You'll notice that the screw face is facing away from you. So once you've got the Allen head in the bolt, you'll feel it, and you just got to go about a half a rotation out of whack. And before you know it, that band will loosen up and we'll be able to get this intake out. All right, so once we've loosened the band up, now you're going to be able to take off these two 10mm bolts so we can get this intake out. So there's one more little bolt to get the stock intake out so we can get this Fuel Customs intake in. You'll notice I had to take off the stock chain guard just to be able to get access so I can get my hand in there to twist the Allen key. But you'll see where I'm pointing it at. It is up there. I know it's difficult to get to, but once you get that, that's the last piece. Pop that out and you're good to go. So as you can see in the bag, we have the two bands and all the hardware. This is going to be the first piece that we connect. And again, this part, it is a little bit tricky because the new Fuel Customs intake is so big, but everything does fit. Just take some time. The first band we already tightened up. It's towards the front, and then there's going to be a second band. You want to get it in there as far as you can so nothing falls apart while you're riding. So go ahead and tighten that all up as best as you can. All right, so now that you have the Fuel Customs intake, the two bands nice and tight, we are going to take the air sensor that was just hanging around off the side of the bike and now put it onto our new Fuel Customs intake. So you're gonna attach it. You'll see the place on the Fuel Customs intake here. You don't have to modify anything. You're just gonna clip it on, put the screw there. It's a hex. Gonna twist that nice and tight. Make sure it's all seated properly, and we are getting there. All right, so we're making way now. So right now you can see I'm gonna be tightening up the box for the Fuel Customs intake. I've got a wrench here on the bottom and a 10mm socket on the top. Just getting that bottom bolt started. You want to start there. So it's gonna be too tough to access afterwards once the filter's in. And if you can't already tell, the box for the intake is in two pieces right now. We just did the bottom bolt to hold the box together from underneath, and now we are doing the two side bolts. There's one on each side. You just want to get them started. You don't have to really tighten them down till the end of installing the intake here, but I will say the Fuel Customs will ship the box in one piece. You got to take it apart for it to fit if you're doing the box, and then you're going to go ahead, tighten the two side bolts down just enough to get the intake in place, and then we are going to put the filter in. Once the filter's in, go ahead and tighten everything down, and you're good to go. All right, so you'll notice I have the intake and the filter all in place. Make sure you put your outerwear over the filter like I did. So you're going to wrap your new provided hose clamp that comes with it, and you're going to wrap that right around the intake itself on the side that I am wrapping it on. Make sure everything's nice and tight between the intake and the filter before you go ahead and tighten it, because you got to kind of shove it into the filter through the hole in the box. It will make sense once you're installing it. So you'll notice I'll tighten the screw towards the middle, otherwise those bolts on the side will be in the way if you're going to tighten them. So make sure you tighten that right in the middle, and then once you go ahead and do that, you'll do the brace. Make sure that's all tightened down, and just don't forget to go back and tighten those two bolts on the side of the intake box, and now the intake is good to go. All right, so we're getting the cable holder set up now that the Fuel Custom intake is on and ready. So you can see here, you put the cable between the little hook here, that way it's nice and far away from the header. And then you're gonna see the piece go all the way down to the head where we're gonna put the 2 bolts on, just tightening them now. I did use the gasket as well. Once we get this all tightened up, that will prevent the cables from hanging anywhere and potentially burning. So yeah, let us tighten these up and we'll get to the next step. Oh yeah guys, I forgot to mention, I just wanted to reiterate the fact that the 13 YFZ450R cable holder is the way to go if you're doing what I'm doing and getting the 38 Motorsports breather box, the Fuel Customs intake. I did buy the 38 Motorsports AIS block off plate. That's just going to become like a keychain now. But yeah, so, and then also as you can see these views from the top, this is going to be the best way to tighten everything down, and I do recommend putting some Loctite down as well, and use the stock gasket. So you're going to have that really thin gasket when you take off the stock cable holder. Just reuse that, it will work fine. Alright, so we got the 38 Motorsports breather box. We're about to go ahead and install that. We'll get you guys right up to speed. Alright, so right under the dash here, there's 2 bolts. You're just gonna start twisting those right off so we can get the 38 Motorsports breather box in. It's a straightforward install. They actually give really good directions, as others have mentioned, and this one hopefully will be the quickest part of this big 3 so far. Well, I guess this is the add-on for the big 3, but call it the big 4. So we'll just get these right off and we'll get right to the next part. All right, so the breather box is right, I know it's tough to see, but it's right behind the dash. So once it's lined up, you're just going to twist these back in, and once both sides are done, we are going to now work on connecting the 3 hoses. Well, they're already connected, but plugging them into the 3 respective areas on the bike. So we will resume that in just a second. Alright, so the install for the 38 Motorsports breather box, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. Instructions are awesome. However, you got to be pretty particular. So under the dash there, you want to route the 2 hoses to the right of the steering stem. So if you're on, if you're driving the ATV right to the right, you're going to have the one going to the top, which is the cylinder head. And then the next one, the one that I'm now holding, going down below to the crank. And it will tell you which hoses go where, because it comes in 3 different sizes, which is awesome. And then the 3rd hose can go to the left of the steering stem. That's just a breather hose. You'll just stick down there. But again, you want to be particular with how you route those hoses around the steering stem, because if not, what's going to happen is you're going to get everything set up, and then you're going to realize that you can't turn your handlebars all the way to the left or all the way to the right. So you want to make sure before you get everything 100% installed and seated and put back together that the handlebars move freely all the way to the left and all the way to the right. Now you'll notice I am using stock clamps from the stock parts instead of using like a hose clamp, and it works perfect. So take that off the AIS stuff, take your pliers, clamp it down, and of course that will help you to not have to go buy hose clamps. Alright, so once you pull down the holder, you can now hook this back up where it's supposed to be. We'll put the bolt there. This fits right where it's supposed to, and then we'll do the next one. So now I'm just sliding down the clamp to the hose that's going to connect now to the cylinder head. As soon as you get that in there, slide the clamp back down onto it, secure that up, and we are all done the 38 Motorsports breather box. Alright, so now the Vortex tuner, we're going to start getting to that. Hopefully this is pretty straightforward. Take these two bolts off right here. Alright, so once you get this part out, now you can see the stock ECU, see these wires here. So now we are going to open the Vortex tuner. Finally. So the Vortex 10 ECU, 0922, YFZ450. Got this one from Racing Power Sports. Alright, that one. This must be the owner's manual or instructions. Some stickers, those are important. You're right, we do got that bracket there. And this is the shitty holder that it comes with. $800 for the thing, or whatever it was, $750, and they can't even give us a quality holder. I do recommend getting the one from Peak Racing if you can. I've been trying to get one, but they've been sold out. He's supposed to be getting more soon, but peakracing.com will have what we need or what you need. So, all right, let's try to get this installed. All right, so we got the Vortex in its holder. It just clips on. Little metal clip in the back, just slides right in, and then you've got a 10 mil on each side. We took the bushings, the rubber bushings from the original bracket and put them in there. I know it's going to have the Vortex sit a little bit sideways in that regard, but it will take a lot less, bouncing around and impacts. So we did do that, and then you'll notice we've got the wires just going to plug directly into the bottom of the Vortex, and we'll tie off the others. All right, so we're pushing up these wires here until it clicks. Perfect. All right, so the plastic box that we had taken off to put the Vortex on, the two rubber grommets on each side, you just line up, and then you'll just push in. They line right up, super easy. Then on the top, as you can see, you've got your 10 mils. You're just going to start tightening those up. Just keep in mind, without the Peak Racing Vortex mount, it might sit a little bit crooked. Don't worry about that. Just set your maps before you put your seat back on, and you'll be good to go on that. All right, so we have the Vortex ignitions map here sent from Racing Power Sports. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on map 9, and we'll do 566 for the low, medium, high. You can change them to whatever you'd like. With my specific setup, that's what I'm going to start with. To change it, you can see the arrows there, how it's on 566 map 9. Just grab a small flathead screwdriver and you just turn the arrow to the desired number. You want to be certain on which map is compatible for what you're doing. If you have any questions, you can always call either Vortex, Racing Power Sports, or whoever it is that you bought it from. 93 octane is perfect. I won't be running any race fuel or anything like that. Now we're on to the last piece of the puzzle. Alright, so you're just going to unbolt the two 12 mils, one on each side on the back, and then you're going to unbolt that 10 mil right there. That'll allow us to slide this exhaust right out. Such a quick job. There is a QR code with instructions, as I just showed in the previous screen, if you need help, but it's very straightforward. Header connects to the cylinder. Mid pipe is male, female to the header, so they slide into one another. Now we put on the slip-on. Alright, so once you line everything up, we're going to start inserting the rubber pieces on both left and right side. Then it's going to go bolt, washer, rubber piece on the right side, and then it's going to go bolt, washer, rubber piece, then spacer on the left side. Just line everything up, get them started. Just be sure not to cross thread anything before you tighten everything down. Then you're just going to want to torque the bolts for the muffler to 16.5 pound-feet. And then we're going to go ahead and torque the stock header bolts to 16.5 pound-feet. So same for the front and back. Once you get that, then we're going to put on our heat shields. We've already installed the springs at this point. Comes with the spring tool, so don't worry about that. It's real easy. And now we've got our complete system on. So we did go ahead and add the CV4 high temp radiator hoses on, not just because they look good, but because the stock hose gets in the way of the header when you add the YOSHIMURA header. So I knew that ahead of time from seeing some other people's comments and stuff like that. So went ahead and got that. It fits perfect, doesn't touch the header. And I grabbed the CV4 1.4 bar radiator cap too. Just withstands a little bit higher temp. But as you can see, everything came out mint. And now we gotta look at the beauty.